Hi, this is Shu with the review of the Zion Williamson signature, the Z code from the Jordan brand. Is it Jumpman Z code or just Z code? But first of all, when I looked at it from a distance, it just looked like a different colorway of the Why Not 04, so I was a little disappointed. But upon slipping my foot into it and wearing them, this is certainly a step up from what Nike has shown in terms of their potential exploding, going above and beyond. PG 4 and 5 was quite the explosively popular and got the nod of approval from a lot of ballers and reviewers. And KD 13, we were a little bit worried about the Zoom Air being on the forefoot, breaking out the balance a little bit, but it actually worked out. This is the best of both worlds. It's got an air strobel, as you can see. It's got an air strobel just like the PG4s and 5s that you can clearly feel. And underneath it, nearby the outsole, there's an added zoom air just like the KD13s. The cushioning setup is wonderful. The midsole foam is super soft, like the ones you find in the Jumpman 2020. It's probably some type of low density injected Phylon, but it's soft like lunar. It's got a certain level of elevation on the heel, and the foam works nicely with the air strobel, so it gives you that added comfort and cushioning and shock absorption instead of just having a zoom strobel or an air strobel where you feel the heel is a little bit more sinking than the forefoot with a straightforward horizontal air sole that doesn't have that heel to toe drop. So the heel to toe drop here is quite prominent without being too high off the ground, and it's got a nice little foam that lets you glide and slide and make a smooth transition from heel to toe. So that is wonderful. And the zoom air on the forefoot does the job like the KD13s. You don't necessarily feel it, but once you start sinking certain pivot points into your foot and start making moves, you feel that zoom air providing that extra depth without hindering the thickness of the midsole. So you're lower to the ground, already low to the ground, and you get even lower to the ground and you get a little bit of added cushioning or a rebound or some, I guess, blister prevention in some case. This is a very active part of the foot. So it's nicely balanced. The upper, unfortunately, I have to say the tongue is a little bit thin, not as drastically, dangerously thin as the LeBron 18, where you could feel your blood circulation being hindered. You're choking yourself if you tie it up too tight. This is not as bad as the LeBron 18, but it could have been better. The padding here is super minimal, almost flat. So that's a little bit of an upgrade they could make to the version 2.0 or 1.5. The heel cup is here prominently, and I think there's another one underneath inside. So overall, it's got a nice little clutching format there. But you might, depending on the shape of your heel, you might feel of a heel slippage when, even if you tie it up all the way here and really tighten it. So depending on your foot shape, that's something you might want to gauge once you try to make the purchase of this shoe. Not as bad as the Harden 5, where it feels like it's just opening up and letting your foot slide out. The padding all around is very soft and plush and nice, and these little edges are very well padded, so there's no pointy parts where it like really aggravates that level of friction between this material and your Achilles or your ankle. So it's very soft all over, so that's wonderful. The toe box area is flimsy, yet there's a fused material to provide that added lockdown. The overall material is soft and quite mesh-like and breathable, so it's not stifling. Even this part underneath this mesh area, it's just a thin layer of fabric. It's not neoprene, so it's a lot more breathable than most shoes. The toe box area feels like there's a little bit of a room there. It feels quite roomy, and it feels quite roomy top and sideways. So it's quite wide and roomy. So wide footers, this is certainly a welcome shoe for you. But for those with narrow foot, you might want to consider going down half a size at least. The outsole pattern is quite similar to the ones we've seen in the Zoom Freak 1, except it's better because it's a little bit more aggressive, and it's not just a pattern that circulates. It's actually more like it's jagged and it's more aggressive, so it provides a lot better traction than the ones you've seen in the Zoom Freak 1. So it feels like a hybrid of Zoom Freak 1 and Zoom Crusader traction. So the traction pattern is pretty good. But of course, when you see these Insoles, it's quite sticky, so you might have to worry about it being a dust magnet a little bit, but the grooves are very nicely made, so despite that, it still provides good traction. And it's got a nice little pivot point a la Jumpman 2020. It's got a nice little decouple area so that it provides some, improves its lightweightness, or subtracts from its overall weight. This size 9 weighs about 384 grams, so that's pretty lightweight. The most prominent feature, something that just blew me away, that made me fall in love with this shoe, that made me say, shut up and take my money, is this. Look at this crazy outrigger. It's not just a little rubber protruding out like the Kobe's. It's not just a fat midsole like some of the Kyrie models. It's actually both. So, outrigger is awesome, and it gets the job done. And I think maybe one reason why they did this is because Zion Williamson had that famous incident in Duke where the midsole split and his foot just charged out of the shoe. So this certainly would prevent that from ever happening, while providing excellent anti-inversion security to prevent ankle rollover. The insole is a super thick, fluffy. It's very fluffy. Ortholite. So even without this insole, if you wear the shoe with paper-thin insole, you can actually feel the cushioning working, and you don't have to worry about blisters or shock absorption. And this actually makes it even better. Some might even feel that this is a little bit too much, but hey, if you like that cushiony, pillowy comfort, certainly doesn't hurt to have this. The price point is pretty low too. It's slightly over $100, so I'm blown away. Good job, Nike, and good luck, Zion Williamson. This is a very promising first signature shoe for a dynamic athlete who needs all the support he can get.